UFC 307 was an absolute roller coaster, tons of amazing moments. You had Rachel Pennington and Juliana Pena go out there, and they tried. They really, really tried, and I think that's good. You know what I mean? It's better than not trying, for sure. But then we also had Mario Bautista versus Jose Aldo. Now, if you guys had caught my stream last night, you would have seen me go on a 13-minute tirade, ranting about how judging is ruining the sport because no one in their right mind should have given Mario Bautista round 3. Look, round 1, okay, fine. I can concede that might have gone to Mario Bautista. Round 2 was Jose Aldo domination. And round 3, I went back and I rewatched it. And I am even more pissed off than I was last night. I am even more irate and disillusioned with humanity because the simple fact of the matter is Mario Bautista did not land. Go back and rewatch round 3. There was not a single shot landed by Mario Bautista. It just didn't happen. Now look, I'll say round 3 wasn't the most action-packed. There wasn't a ton of strikes landed, but it was clear as day. Jose Aldo was popping his head back with the jab, landing combinations. Some of them were partially blocked, but he was landing. He was throwing. Mario Bautista, the best punch he landed round 3 was a forearm shot that was blocked by Jose Aldo. Apart from that, nothing he threw landed. Not one shot. In fact, he was so bothered by Jose Aldo's power, he was so bothered by the jab that just kept popping his head back, that as soon as the referee separated them from the minute-long stalling match up against the fence, you know what Mario Bautista did? He immediately shot again. Now, my only question now is, what the fuck were the judges thinking? What the fuck was going through the judges' minds? Because look, the judging criteria in my mind is the fucking catalyst to all pain and suffering when looking at MMA. Because it seems like nobody understands it. It seems like nobody fully understands what the fuck they need to be, they need to look at when judging a fight. Despite the fact that the judging criteria lists it very, very clearly. They're looking for effective grappling / striking. Both of those two things. And believe it or not, holding somebody up against the fence does not count as effective grappling. It says so right in the judging criteria. In fact, it says the only reason why a judge would look at control time up against the fence is if effective grappling and effective striking is dead even. And again, how is it dead even when Mario Bautista is only landing fucking forearm punches? All right, how? I don't get it. Honestly, look, what I think the problem is you've got 3 judges who are already a little bit special needs. I mean, let's be honest, they work for the government, okay? And I don't know if special needs people work for the government typically, but, I don't know. But they're sitting cage side, they're watching these 2 bantamweights, small, fast, explosive guys, just throwing combinations at each other, and I just don't think they can really capture what is going on. I think the human eye is failing here. That's what I think. You have to look through a fence. You got these 2 guys throwing flurries at each other, and they're like, did that land? Did that land? I don't know. This guy looked busier. All right, no. And this is a bygone system that needs to be fixed. But look, I'm aware that judges also have monitors, but I just don't think that suffices either. I think it's still so hard to gauge when a punch just narrowly misses, when the punch lands, and also you got the crowd screaming at every little thing. And I think this system just doesn't work, and we need to fix it. And honestly, just have goddamn ChatGPT do it. Just have ChatGPT do it. It'll probably do a better job than what we saw last night. It would do a way better job. But Khalil Rountree versus Alex Pereira, boy oh boy was that a nail biter. An absolute nail biter. Look, a lot of people were not giving Khalil Rountree a shot in this matchup. They were saying there's no way he's going to get knocked out early. He has no business being in there with somebody like Pereira. But look, if you go back and you look at my breakdown I did for the fight, I actually said, look, I think Khalil Rountree could pose some problems to Pereira, and I think with a very specific game plan executed perfectly, he could potentially win. And I think he almost executed that game plan perfectly, but there were a few key things Khalil was missing. One of which being Khalil needed to get Pereira backed up to the fence. He needed to, and he just did not capitalize on that. Now, of course, getting Pereira into that position is much easier said than done. Don't get me wrong, but One thing a southpaw fighter is always going to have against an orthodox fighter is that straight right hand. Just the way both of you are standing, it is just a perfect fucking trajectory for a straight right. And Khalil being so fast and so explosive, and Pereira standing very tall with his head up in the air, he is susceptible to straight shots. The problem is, though, Alex is so disciplined with his stance. He's never overthrowing. He's never throwing out of position. He's never running into punches. So, despite the fact that Khalil was landing with straight shots, for the most part, Pereira was always moving away with the punch. Almost always. And that's going to be so hard to finish somebody rolling with your punches, moving with them. But, in the past, the times we've seen Pereira most susceptible to getting hit is when he gets backed up to the fence. That is exactly what Yuri did to him in the first fight. And in my mind, that is what Khalil needed to do. Because, again, it's going to be so hard to catch Pereira clean with a punch he's not going to see coming. That's really going to put him out. But even despite that, he did have some moments where he genuinely really hurt Alex. And it came from a very interesting sequence. Pereira was throwing a lot of teeps this fight. A lot of teeps. And he actually turned that into a question mark kick at one point. Now, again, I don't really have any recollection of Pereira ever throwing question mark kicks before. So, smart strategy. The problem is, though, as soon as Pereira lifted that lead knee, Khalil was already ready to try to step in and counter his kick with a punch. And because of that, he planted, he lowered his stance a little bit, and it just caused that kick to fly right over Khalil's head. And then from that point, Pereira was out of position, he was off balance, and Khalil capitalized on it. But Pereira seemed to recover very, very well. But then following that, Khalil lands a body kick. Boy, oh boy, when you look at it in slow-mo, it landed right on the money, right on his liver, and you can tell by the way Pereira reacted. I mean, his face did not change, but that hurt. That shot really, really hurt. But the thing that I am most impressed with about Pereira is you take 99% of fighters and put them into the octagon with somebody that should not be in there with them, that on paper they should just destroy, no problem. But then they start having success with you. That is where guys melt. That is where guys mentally give up. When the fight that you thought was going to be easy ends up being really, really hard. But Pereira just never shifted from his game plan. Despite getting dropped, despite getting hit by a liver shot, despite honestly having a difficult time gauging Khalil's speed, he just kept walking him down, kept cutting him off, and just kept breaking him down with the jab. And look, I'm seeing a lot of people say, wow, the Utah altitude saved Pereira. Look, the fact of the matter is, Khalil Rountree, he always has had a cardio issue. And the issue stems from the fact that if you are going to fight that explosive, if you're going to be using that much energy to blitz and throw with everything you have, the trade-off is you do not have 5-round cardio. I mean, this is not new for Khalil Rountree. It's not like Khalil had fucking rock-solid cardio before this fight. That is just not the case. I mean, Khalil had been known for struggling with cardio in 3-round fights. Now, he has recently fixed that and he paces himself a lot better, but a 5-round fight is a completely different ballgame. And what it comes down to is if you're going to be that fast, that explosive, if you're going to sprint at guys with all of your combinations, it does have its benefits, as we saw from this fight, but the trade-off is your cardio is not going to hold up. And another narrative that had been going around about Pereira pretty much always throughout his entire career is that his boxing defense is not good. It's something I've talked about a lot on the channel. And look, of course, he's always going to be susceptible to straight shots, of course. But honestly, Pereira was hitting pull counters all night long, and they were beautiful. He did an amazing job reading Khalil's jabs, slipping and coming back with right hands. And this all accumulated into towards the end of the fight when he had Khalil tired, when he had Khalil hurt. He put him in the fucking matrix. And it was so cool to see Pereira slipping and ripping. And honestly, he is very, very scary. And his boxing defense, the way he finds counters, I think it's genuinely pretty good. But I think a very fair question you can ask now after this fight is, we saw Pereira struggle with the speed of Khalil Rountree. Who is the fastest, arguably second best striker in the light heavyweight division? I think that's Magomed Ankalaev. Now, the last time I said that, a lot of people got really mad. People got really mad that I called Magomed the second best striker. They went, but Jan had him so hurt when they fought. Yes, Jan did land a lot of leg kicks that really messed up Magomed Ankalaev. Don't know how that automatically means he's an all-around better striker. I'm not sure. But again, yeah, look, you can make the argument Jan's better, but look, he's up there. Magomed Ankalaev is one of the best strikers in the division, no matter what you think. He is extremely fast, very quick combinations, and I think there are some very key things he can take away from this fight with Khalil, one of which being, again, going back to the pull counters we just looked at. Do you remember the head kick that Khalil landed on Pereira? Do you know why that head kick opened up? Well, look at this sequence again. Look at how Khalil comes with the jab, Pereira slips, and then counters with the right hand. Well, Khalil does a very slight feint, dipping his head forward. Pereira thinks a jab is coming, so he leans back, but he leans right into the head kick. And it's small tendencies like this that I'm just worried somebody like Ankalaev, who is a very, very technical striker, no matter what you want to say about the guy, can pick up on. I mean, that really is, I think, finally, hopefully, the only fight left for Pereira at 205 that we absolutely need to see. But it all kind of hangs in the balance if he can beat Rakic, which honestly, look, I don't know. Rakic is extremely solid, very big. He's going to be longer, probably a little bit stronger. But I mean, that's really the only fight that makes sense now, right? I mean, I fucking hope so. I've said that the last 3 Alex Pereira fights, and we have yet to get that fight. So if Rakic beats Ankalaev, then what? At that point, I would honestly be sad because I think somebody like Ankalaev could take away some very key things from this fight against Khalil. Now, clearly, Magomed is not nearly as explosive and fast twitch as somebody like Khalil, but he is more skillful. And again, he's a Dagestani, okay? And the Dagestanis are terrifying. They're very, very interesting. And if anybody can defeat a Dagestani, it would be Alex Pereira. And I mean, fingers crossed that's next. Fingers fucking crossed.